With trembling hands, I kept scrolling through those messages, each one slicing deeper than the last. The casual tone, the emojis, the laughter, it was as if they were planning a vacation, not the betrayal of a mother's love. Sierra wrote, "She'll sell her house anyway. She's sentimental, but practical. We'll just tell her it's temporary." Marcus replied, "Yeah, she'll do anything if I say I need her. Guilt works every time." I stared at the screen, barely breathing, as my granddaughter's small hand rested on mine. "I didn't want to make you sad, Grandma," Chloe whispered. I couldn't speak. My throat was dry, and my heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my ears. The world seemed to blur around me, the walls, the bedspread, even Chloe's worried face. My son, my only son, the boy I had raised alone after his father died, the one I had sacrificed everything for, the one whose first word had been Mama. I closed my eyes, and for a moment, I saw him as a child again, running barefoot in our backyard, his hair glistening in the sun, his laughter echoing like music. That little boy would never have done this. But the man he'd become, I didn't recognize him anymore. "Thank you for showing me this," I whispered to Chloe, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Now, we won't say a word. Let's just pretend everything is fine." She nodded, eyes wide with understanding for beyond her 16 years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in that narrow bed in the cold white room, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the refrigerator downstairs. I thought about my house, the porch, the basil plants, the smell of fresh coffee at dawn, and I realized I had given up everything for people who saw me as nothing more than free labor. Around midnight, I got up and went to the kitchen. The moonlight poured through the window, silver and silent. On the counter sat Sierra's expensive handbag, the one she bought on one of her work trips. I opened it and saw a small envelope with their names written in gold ink. Maldives couples getaway. Departure date next week. They weren't even pretending anymore. When morning came, I moved through the house like a ghost. I packed the children's lunches, tied their shoes, kissed their foreheads, and smiled as if everything were normal. But inside, I had made a decision. A calm, final decision. I would not confront them. I would not beg for an apology. I would leave quietly, completely, without a trace. After dropping the children at school, I went to the small town bank and withdrew what little I had left in my account. Then I took a bus to a nearby city, to a place where no one knew my name. That evening, when Marcus and Sierra returned home, I imagined they were confused not to find dinner ready. Maybe they thought I was in my room. Maybe they left, thinking I'd finally taken a break. But when they saw my room empty, my clothes gone, my framed photo missing, the bed neatly made, they must have realized. I didn't leave a note. I didn't owe them words. For the next few days, they called me nonstop. At first, the calls were panicked. "Mom, where are you? Are you okay?" Then came anger. "You're being childish. Come back. The kids need you." Finally, silence. That was when I knew they had truly lost me. But Chloe, she didn't stop calling. Every evening she sent me a message. "I love you, Grandma." Sometimes a photo of the sunset. Sometimes just a heart emoji. I never replied, but I read every single one. I found a small apartment above a bakery. The smell of bread in the mornings reminded me of my old life. I bought a rocking chair at a thrift shop, a potted basil plant, and a secondhand coffee maker that sighed just like my old one. I started volunteering at a local library, reading stories to children. It wasn't much, but it was peace. And peace, I had learned, was priceless. 2 months later, I received a letter. It wasn't from Marcus or Sierra. It was from Chloe. Her handwriting was neat and careful. She wrote, "Grandma, they fight all the time now. Dad says he misses you, but doesn't know how to say it. Mom is angry all the time. I wish you were here. I'm saving money. When I'm 18, I'll come live with you. Please don't stop believing in me." I cried when I read those words, tears I hadn't allowed myself to shed before. I realized then that maybe not all was lost. Years passed. The twins grew up. Chloe did come to live with me when she turned 18. She got into college nearby and worked part-time at the bakery downstairs. Sometimes we sat together in the evenings, drinking coffee on the balcony, watching the sun dip below the rooftops. She'd tell me stories about her childhood, how she always knew something was wrong with the way her parents treated me, how she admired my strength for walking away. Marcus never called again. I heard through Chloe that he lost his job, that Sierra left him not long after. I didn't feel satisfaction, only a quiet sadness. Some lessons, I suppose, are learned too late, but I never regretted leaving. That house, that family dinner, those cruel words, "You take care of my kids." That's the rule. They no longer haunted me, because I had found something far more valuable than their approval. I had found myself again, and sometimes when the morning light filters through the curtains, and I take my first sip of coffee, I whisper to myself, "Perfect. I'll go, and you can start paying your own bills." The same words that broke everything now make me smile, because they were the start of my freedom the moment I stopped being their caretaker and became, once again, Grace. One cold evening, 3 years after I left, I heard a knock on my apartment door. It was gentle at first, almost hesitant, as if the person on the other side wasn't sure whether they wanted to be let in. I wiped my hands on my apron, thinking it was Chloe returning from work early. But when I opened the door, the air left my lungs. It was Marcus, my son. He looked older, smaller somehow. The confident man in tailored suits was gone. His hair was streaked with gray, his shoulders slumped. His eyes, once filled with pride, now carried something I had never seen before in him: shame. "Hi, Mom," he said softly, his voice breaking on the second word. For a moment, neither of us moved. The hallway light flickered above him, making the shadows stretch and shift on his tired face. My first instinct was to close the door, to protect the peace I had so carefully built. But something inside me, maybe that stubborn mother's heart, stopped me. "Come in," I said quietly. He stepped inside, looking around as if stepping into another world. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery below lingered in the air. On the small kitchen table sat my coffee mug, a vase with wildflowers, and an open book Chloe had been reading. "It's nice," he murmured, his eyes scanning the simple but warm space. "You always made things feel like home." We sat across from each other in silence. For a long while, he said nothing, just ran his fingers along the edge of the table. Finally, he exhaled, long and heavy. "I lost everything, Mom," he said. "The house, the job. Sierra left. Took the kids for a while, but Chloe helped me get them back. I messed up." His voice cracked, and suddenly he looked like that little boy again. The one who used to run into my arms after scraping his knee. "I was so stupid. I thought you'd always be there, no matter what I said or did. I thought you needed us." I listened, my heart aching but calm. "I did need you," I said, "but I needed your respect more." He nodded slowly, tears slipping down his cheeks. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," he whispered. "I'm not sure forgiveness is something you deserve," I said softly. "It's something you earn, through time, through truth." He nodded again, his hands trembling as he reached into his pocket. "There's something I want you to have." He placed an envelope on the table. Inside was a check. "It's from the sale of your old house. I found out who bought it. I bought it back. It's yours again. My breath caught. I stared at the paper, then at him. For years, I had imagined what it would feel like to go back, to walk on that porch again, to smell the basil and coffee. But I had also learned that peace isn't tied to a place. It's something you grow inside yourself. Thank you, I said finally. But I don't need the house anymore. I have everything I need right here. He looked confused, then quietly folded the check back into the envelope. Can I at least come visit sometimes? With the kids. I looked at him for a long moment. The boy I'd raised was still there somewhere beneath the mistakes and the pride. Yes, I said gently. You can visit, but this time you come as my son, not my master. He nodded, tears still falling, and whispered, I promise. That Sunday, he returned with Elijah and Isaiah. They had grown tall, their voices deeper, but their eyes still bright. They hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Grandma, we missed you, they said in unison. Chloe stood behind them, smiling with quiet relief. We spent the afternoon baking bread, laughing, and sharing stories. For the first time in years, my kitchen was full of warmth and life. When Marcus left that night, he lingered at the door. You're stronger than anyone I know, he said. I smiled faintly. I had to be. Life didn't give me much of a choice. After they were gone, I sat by the window with my coffee, watching the city lights shimmer below. The years of pain, sacrifice, and loneliness felt distant now, like a storm that had finally passed. I realized then that sometimes love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go long enough for the other person to find their way back, changed. A week later, a letter arrived. It was from Sierra, short, handwritten, almost desperate. Asterisk Grace, I don't expect you to forgive me. I only want to thank you. You raised 3 wonderful grandchildren, and one day, they'll tell their children about you. The woman who walked away and taught us all what dignity looks like. Asterisk, I folded the letter and tucked it into my journal. Outside, the bakery bell chimed. The smell of warm bread drifted in, and I smiled. Life had come full circle. The woman who once gave everything to others had finally learned to give something to herself. Peace, self-respect, and a love that no one could take away again dawned. And as the evening light faded, I whispered into the quiet room, It's okay now. Grace, you did it. You finally came home.